Good evening, Chargers. This is Mrs. DiVincenzo, your principal, and I am so happy to be welcoming you back to school next Monday morning on August 31st. It's been way too long of a time away, and I hope that you're as excited as I am about coming back. Most of you will be returning face to face. Some of you have chosen to participate remotely with us. This evening, I'd like to address our remote learning solutions, and then tomorrow I'll produce another short video about drop-off and pickup procedures and what to expect the first week of school. But first, some general things about remote learning expectations this year. All students will need to check in to remote learning several times during the course of a school day. There is a brief check-in time that will be established by each teacher on a daily basis, and that is how we will take attendance to make sure your child is participating in the program. Throughout the day, students will have the opportunity to participate in many different types of lessons, and it is their responsibility to show up at each and every one of those sessions that are scheduled by their teachers. Otherwise, we would have to be calling home and asking parents what's going on and why the child is not participating in school. We're going to delay a little bit the start of remote learning for our youngest learners. Students in grades pre-K through 5 will begin on September 8th, and students in grades 6 through 8 will begin immediately with their face-to-face classes as well as remote classes. The reason why we need to do that is because the procedures at school are so new this year and so different that the teachers do need time to teach the face-to-face learners about all the changes that are occurring at school, and then to prepare the lessons for everybody that they will be serving. Another thing that we'd like you to do is to let your teacher know if and when you need help. Every student is able to do that while at school, and there's no reason that our remote learners cannot do the same thing. Also, we expect that you turn in your homework on time. If for some reason you cannot turn in your homework on time, you need to take responsibility and inform the classroom teacher about why your work might be late, or ask for some extra help if that's what you need. So again, we'll check in the morning. Students will be expected to participate in content area classes. They'll be expected to let their teachers know if they're having difficulty with any of the work. They'll be expected to turn their work in on time. So those are the things that we ask of all of you. In terms of what we're going to be providing this year, remote learning at our school will be, generally speaking, a synchronous learning model, meaning that remote learners will have the opportunity to receive direct instruction for parts of lessons the same way that the lesson is being taught, at the same time that the lesson is being taught to the face-to-face learners. In rare instances, we might want to videotape some segments to enhance those sessions, but that will probably be as a little bit later as we begin to learn what our students need the most. Of course, we also might need to differentiate some of the activities and assignments along the way, so don't be surprised if your student has something a little bit different to do than one of his friends or neighbors in the same class. It's our job to help all students succeed, and that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that their learning experiences align with the help that they need. These direct instruction sessions can vary in time from 10 to 20 minutes, and they do not have to happen daily. Certainly at the beginning of the year, more of them will be on a regular basis, but as the year progresses, teachers may wish to have some project-based learning activities going on, in which the students would need time to check in and to ask questions and to get guidance from teachers, but without that direct instruction occurring. Sometimes teachers might also choose in the primary division, that is in grades pre-K through 5, to give instruction for a couple of different lessons in the morning at the same time, and then later in the day for a couple of more different content areas. That will be their choice. But for the most part, we will be scheduling our classes based on our general schedule, and that will definitely happen for the junior high students. Okay, as we talk about that, one of the things that you will need at home is to have your student materials available. So we will be probably using Monday afternoon when students are out of school to establish some times where the parents can come and pick up books and things that the remote learning students will need. We dismiss from school on Monday at 11:15. So my thought was that we would start at about 12:30 and go until about 4 o'clock on Monday afternoon. Of course, if those times are inconvenient for you, all you have to do is contact your teacher and we can arrange for something different to happen for your family. All students and all remote learners will be using Google Classroom as our learning management system this year. Many of you are already familiar with it, and your classroom teachers will be providing more specific information about that to your classroom groups specifically. We learned last year that there were some little tricky parts to having the Google Classroom items work properly with different platforms. But our PE teacher, Mrs. Liguori, did produce some brief videos to show parents and students how Google Classroom could work with a laptop, with a notepad, with an iPad, or with a Chromebook. So all of those devices can be used for accessing the remote learning portions of work in Google Classroom. The live portions will be Zoom sessions, which will be scheduled in advance by the classroom teacher. In addition to the general curriculum, we have some really neat tools to be using for independent and guided practice. That is, when the students are not receiving direct instruction or as much direct instruction in a particular content area. So this year we have available iReady for students in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade, iExcel Math and ELA for students in pre-K through 8th grade, iExcel Spanish for students in grades 6 through 8, Khan Academy for any teachers that wish to use it with their students, and Think Circa for grades 4 through 8. And of course, we'll be exploring digital resources throughout the year from a variety of sources. Though we are not yet ready to launch eSchool 2.0, we will continue to explore how we can use this valuable new tool that was developed by both current and retired principals and teachers from the Archdiocese of Chicago. And as soon as we have more information about how we're going to use that for remote learning as well as for face-to-face learning, we'll be in touch with you. Please keep in mind that while our internet speed and our bandwidth have been increased this summer, we are still in the process of improving our Wi-Fi connectivity throughout the school. And without the benefit of the CARES Act and Title funds, we would not have been able to do that this summer, and we would not have been able to access the hardware, new Chromebooks specifically, that we will be receiving in the near future to benefit all students in our school. Before we sign off for this evening, I'd like to offer some special thanks to Aga Marzek and Karl Kowalski, who put together a couple of teams of volunteers over the past week to help prepare the school physically for the re-entrance of students. We rehabbed some of the classrooms into different types of situations. Teachers will have lunchrooms in their wings of the building. We will have extra health spaces in the main office and a waiting room in the main office for those students who are being picked up early from school. And we, of course, want to make sure that our learning spaces for all children provide appropriate 6-foot distancing as much as possible. Most classrooms can do that very comfortably, but as we approach 20 students, it does get a little bit tighter in each of the classrooms. If students need additional space, we will be able to provide some of that as well, as we have some extra classroom space that can be used to spread them out at lunchtime and things of that sort. So again, thank you to our volunteers who made all of that possible. And they did that on a very hot evening yesterday, so many more kudos to them for doing that and bearing the heat. And speaking of the heat, we have on our fields outside numerous new tents that can be used to provide students shade while taking a break outside, while reading outside, while doing some classwork outside, or enjoying their snack time or lunchtime outside. So many thanks to all of the donors who made that possible and all of the volunteers that made that possible for us. Again, we're very much looking forward to seeing you. And sorry for my dog whining in the background. She wants to go back inside the house. But we're looking very much forward to seeing everyone on Monday. Have a great evening, and I'll be talking to you again tomorrow. Thank you. Good night.